So I'm sitting here inside, safe and warm. Outside it's negative 16 degrees Celsius, negative 25 with a wind chill. You know, like your skin will freeze in 60 seconds temperature. Had a rough morning this day, kind of reminded me of the beginning of Groundhog Day, you know, when the movie goes out of its way to show that it's going to be a rough day for Bill Murray. Felt like kind of a rough day to me, but it's just a series of very minor problems. I bought a hat at the gas station because I left mine at home. You know, big worries there. But it reminded me of a story that I wanted to tell. I was going to write it out, but I figured, hey, you know, I haven't done like a video post or an audio post in a while, so why not do that? So, this is the story of the coldest I've ever been, which I almost was today, walking from the bus to the gas station with no hat, wanting my face to just freeze and burn off. But this was much worse. This was 14 years ago, October 2001. It was Canadian Thanksgiving, and I had gone with my dad to visit my aunt and uncle and cousins in North Bay, Ontario, which is about a 5 or 6 hour drive north of here. And obviously it's always a lot colder there during the fall and winter than it is here. But I hadn't really prepared for that. I brought a winter coat, but I didn't figure we were going to be outside that much, so I don't know what the hell I was doing for gloves or a hat or anything. So we got up there, and it's just me and him because my brothers didn't come that year. One of them had his wisdom teeth out, and the other one was feeling very antisocial at the time, so he wasn't always coming. So, for whatever reason, my dad and I were just driving around North Bay without our other family members either. We had taken off for the day, driving around looking for something to do, and he decides he's going to take me to a place called Temagami, which is somewhere where he had lived when he was younger, / worked during the summers or something like that. You know, it's kind of way out there. North Bay, Ontario is pretty far out there, and Temagami, Ontario is nowhere. It was the most nowhere I think I've ever been. Certainly at that point in my life. So we drive, and we drive, and we drive, and it's a cold day in October, and winter had come pretty early to this part of Canada that year. It was colder than I ever remember it being in North Bay in October. And, you know, there was snow flurries flying up against the window and everything like that. And we had the CBC radio on because that's the only thing you can get up there. Because all the FM channels start to drop out after a while. And side note is that it was right after 9/11, and we were rolling the planes out to Afghanistan. So I never ever forgot that mental image of just sitting there, feeling microscopic in my dad's passenger seat in his old 1991 Buick Century, listening to the voice of doom explaining how we were going off to war. Anyway, so we got to this place, Temagami, which, again, is nowhere. It's somewhere between North Bay and Quebec. Felt like an hour, maybe it was 2 hours. And it's this place in the woods, and a little town, and the only thing to do there is this metal rickety fire tower, which is a lookout point erected high above the city, the town, the village, the settlement, you know. I don't mean to belittle it. It's a legit town. There were stores and stuff, but so, for whatever reason, my dad, who was just a few years after having split from my mom, but not long enough into his relationship with his girlfriend, who he's still with, to bring her to me to see his family. Just him and me. looking for anything to do on a Saturday afternoon, finding ourselves in Temagami, Ontario. And he suggests we climb this rickety metal fire tower into the sky when it's like minus 15, minus 20, minus 25 degrees. And I'm 14, I don't know anything about anything. I'm just like, yeah, sure, do it, let's do it. Let's go up. Okay, if that's what you want to do. So we start up this thing. And, you know, it's like a metal staircase. It's like, you know, clang, 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 spiraling up. You know, we're like in a square motion. Up and up and up. And we are just never reaching the top of this thing. And it's getting colder, and the wind is getting harder, and it's like I'm climbing fucking Everest or something, you know? It's like I'm climbing Mount Waddington, which is the highest peak in Canada, I think. And I just remember my hands freezing, the cold biting at me, you know, pulling at me like little hooks in me. And my dad looking at me and saying, "Do you want to borrow my gloves?" My dad was 50 years old at this point. Like, this would have been right after his 50th birthday. He's been a father since 1983. I'm 14. I'm, you know, puny and weak and scared and increasingly near death. And I've forgotten my gloves. "Yes, Dad, I would like to borrow your gloves, please." So we each took a glove. His giant glove on my tiny little hand. He couldn't even offer me both of them. I guess because he needed them too. And we climbed, and we kept climbing a while. And until finally it was just like, we're never reaching the top of this thing. We're both going to die up here. Let's go back down. It was a nice view, though. You know, there's a nice view out to Lake Temagami, I think, or whatever it was called up there, which I took in for about a second and a half from halfway up the fucking fire tower. Anyway, I'm like the worst Canadian. I like temperate temperatures. I love the springtime. I like warmth. So, you know, although that's a really drastic temperature and a really strange situation to be in, probably, you know, every Canadian's got like stories of, oh, you know, I remember when it was minus 30, minus 50. That's all. Numbers are no good. You know, you have to have some kind of like story attached to it. Why was it so fucking cold? What did you do about it? Why were you even there? Why are we even here? That's what Canadian literature is all about, I think. Just like, why do we put up with this fucking weather? It's clearly trying to kill us. It doesn't want us here. That's a good memory, though. Something I'll remember about my dad forever. Just nothing to do on a Saturday. Let's drive out and climb this pointless tower. Because it might be interesting. And I guess he figured maybe I'd still be telling the story 14 years later.